Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carlin and today's class is yoga to open the hips. Our hips can be a place where we hold a lot of tension in the body. They tend to get super tight, and this class today is a quick way to open them up. The only props that you will need for this class is your mat and what I like to call the biggest tool when opening up your hips, which is your breath. We're gonna get started in a tabletop position whenever you're ready, so I'll see you there. So before we get into the hips, let's just take some cat-cows, warming up through the spine and the wrists. On the inhale, drop the belly and lift the gaze. And on the exhale, tuck the chin, round through the spine. Move like that for a couple rounds. Maybe you rock forward and back, getting into those wrists like I mentioned. Maybe you immediately start getting into the hips by drawing some little circles with the hips in one direction and the other. Whatever feels good, just gently warming up the body. And take your final round of cat-cow here. And then return to a neutral tabletop position when you're ready, with your wrists under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Pick up that right foot and step it to the outside of the right hand. So we're in a really short lizard stance here. I myself am pretty tight right now, so I can already feel this in my hips. It might feel good to just stay here in stillness. Maybe you start to draw some circles with that right hip. As you come back, maybe you ever so slightly straighten through the right leg, but into that hamstring. Mostly focusing here on just lubricating the right hip joint. And once you've taken a couple circles in one direction, you can take those circles in the opposite direction. And find stillness once more. And then from here, we'll take that right leg back and we'll keep it up high in line with the hips. So we're in this one-legged tabletop position. And then kick that right heel towards the seat. And you have the option to reach around with your left hand, grab for the right foot, and then gently just pull up on the top of the foot. You might start to feel this in your quad and in your right hip flexor. Just breathe here, just for one more breath. And then gently release to take this to the other side, returning to your tabletop position, lifting that left foot off the ground and stepping it to the outside of the left hand. Again, stay in stillness for a moment and just evaluate if you'd like to stay here, if this is enough of an opening for you, or if you want to add in that movement, those circles with the hips. So maybe you start to just draw small circles, moving in one direction. They might gradually get larger. They might stay nice and tiny today. Listen to your body. And again, after a couple in one direction, you're going to switch directions, taking it around the other way. And then come back to stillness. Just take a breath here. And then again, we'll take that left foot back, keeping it up nice and high at hip height. Excuse me. And then kick that left foot towards the left seat. You have the option to reach around with the right hand, grab the top of the left foot, and then just gently pull that knee up, starting to get into the left quad and the left hip flexor. Breathing here just for an inhale and an exhale. And then when you're ready, return to your tabletop position. Walk your hands slightly forward of your shoulders, spread your fingertips wide, lift the hips, and find your downward facing dog. To pedal out the knees here, start to find some movement in your down dog, starting to open up. After a little bit of movement, you'll begin to settle back into stillness. And then from here, we'll take a figure 4 downward facing dog. So we'll lift the left leg, and we're going to cross that left ankle right above the right knee on top of the thigh. And just stay here for a moment, really pushing that left knee away from you. Maybe you bend the right knee slightly to get even deeper into the left hip. This will feel just like your figure 4 stretch, except you're in your downward facing dog. Nice strong breaths to power through. And then keeping this figure 4 shape, you're going to take the right knee all the way down to the ground, coming into a variation of child's pose with these figure 4 legs. So your hips probably won't go far, but you're going to send your hips back and walk your hands forward. So in a normal child's pose, my hips would come all the way to my heels. That's not happening in this variation, and that's okay. We'll just be here for about 3 breaths. Breathe into that deep opening in the left hip. Last breath here. And then as you're ready, we'll reverse our steps and come back into that figure 4 downward facing dog. And then step the left foot beside the right once more. And we'll take that to the other side, lifting the right foot this time, crossing it just above the left knee, finding that figure 4 shape with the legs. And maybe just bending that left knee so we get a little bit deeper into the right hip as you press the right knee towards the back of the room. Breathing here. I know this is a lot of strength in our downward facing dog, especially when we're one-legged. You know where we're headed next. When you're ready, gently let that left knee come all the way down to the ground. Again, keeping the figure 4, start to send the hips back. They probably won't go far. And then walk the hands forward, finding your figure 4 variation of child's pose. So this is going to feel a little bit funky, a little bit uncomfortable. But as long as you're feeling this opening in the right hip, you're probably doing the right thing. 3 breaths here. At the bottom of your 3rd exhale, again, we'll reverse our steps, just coming back into that 3-legged dog. Figure 4 downward facing dog, my bad. And then we'll take it back to a downward facing dog, and we'll take this into a standing flow. Inhale to reach the right leg up to the sky. Open the hips, stacking right hip over left. Again, you can draw those circles if you'd like. Just 2 or 3, and then take them in the opposite direction. And then come back to your 3-legged dog. Tuck the knee towards the nose and start to step the right foot in between the hands. We'll stay nice and low here. Come onto the fingertips, framing the right foot. We're in our low runner's lunge, keeping your gaze forward, your neck nice and long. And just start to rock back and forth. Really feel this stretch in the left hip flexor. One more breath here. And then we'll lift the fingertips off of the ground and come up into our crescent lunge. Just taking one inhale, one exhale. Let's do one more, feeling the hip flexor open. Breathe in and breathe out. Open up to a warrior two. Really knee towards the back of the room, opening through the right hip, gazing over your right middle finger. 2 breaths. And at the bottom of the second exhale, start to straighten through the right leg and turn both of the toes, both sets of toes, to face the long edge of the mat. Now shorten your stance and make sure your toes are facing out and your heels are facing in. So we're gonna come into a goddess pose. You can take your hands to your hips, and as if you were sliding down a wall, just start to bend the knees, coming into your goddess pose. Keep pressing those knees out, pulling the belly button in, and take your hands to your thighs now. And as we open the hips here, let's take some dips with the shoulders, taking the right shoulder down, lifting the left shoulder up, and finding some movement here in the legs. And then we'll take it to the other side. Left shoulder comes down, right shoulder comes up. Keep that movement going in the legs. One more time, each side. Twisting to the right, and then to the left. And then when you're ready, come back up through standing. Warrior two for just a breath, and then cartwheel the hands and step back to your downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, we'll take that to the other side. Lift the left leg up, open up through the hip, stacking left hip on top of right. 2 or 3 circles in one direction, and then take those circles to the opposite direction. Lifting up to come back to 3-legged dog, and then stepping the left foot in between the hands, coming to the fingertips in your runner's lunge, rocking back and forth. Nice deep breaths. And then when you're ready, lift the fingertips up. Come back into your crescent lunge. 2 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and then open into your warrior two. Press that left knee over towards the left edge of the mat. Breathing here. One more round of breath. And then start to straighten through that left leg. Turn the toes to face the long edge of the mat. And this time, make your stance a little bit wider, turning your toes in and your heels out. Bringing your hands to your hips. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down halfway, really reaching the hips back. You'll feel this in the hamstrings. Bend the knee. And then slowly let yourself fold all the way down, bringing the hands down to the ground. We'll take some side lunges here. Start to bend into the right knee as you straighten that left leg. And then take it to the other side. Bend the left knee, straighten the right leg. Do this a couple more times, working into the inner thighs as well. Eventually make your way back through center, folding forward. Bring your hands to your hips, take an inhale, come up halfway. And then exhale, come all the way back up through standing. Back to your warrior two just for a breath. And then cartwheel the hands and come back to your downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, go ahead and drop the knees, and we'll make our way onto our backs. Cooling down here. It's a short flow, like I said. Let's take this into a half happy baby. Left leg comes out long, right knee hugs into the chest. Give it a little squeeze here, and then take your left hand to your left and your right hand to the inside or the outside of the right leg. Pressing the right knee in towards the right armpit. You can, again, find a little bit of movement or just stay in stillness. Opening through the right hip. And that right knee is bent. As you're ready, you'll grab onto that bent right knee with the left hand. Gently guide it across that straight left leg, finding a supine twist. Taking your gaze over to your right side and feeling the outer right hip opening as you twist through the center of the body. Gently pressing down on that bent right leg with the left hand. We're going to take a little bit of a funky transition into a half frog here. So taking your gaze over the left shoulder this time, you're going to take your right hand back over towards the right leg and just gently roll yourself onto your stomach, bringing your left forearm and your right forearm down to the ground and keeping that right knee at a 90-degree angle. You can come all the way down if it feels comfortable, maybe stacking the hands and resting the forehead on the top hand. And just feel into that gentle opening of the right hip in your half frog pose. And take your final breath here before we transition to the other side. When you're ready, come out of this really safely, just coming up, lifting that right elbow, threading the left arm underneath the right, come down to the left shoulder, and just gently roll yourself back onto the back. Taking it to the other side with the right leg out long, hug the left knee into the chest, give it a squeeze here. And then transitioning to our half happy baby, rest the right hand on the right thigh. Take hold of that inner or outer left foot with the left hand and gently press the left knee towards the left armpit. Movement or stillness here, whatever allows you to safely and deeply open up through the left hip. And take one more breath here. And you know where we're headed this time, into our supine twist, gently guiding that bent left knee over the straight right leg, taking that left arm out straight or to a cactus, and your gaze comes over your left shoulder, eyes can be closed. Your right hand gently presses down on that left leg, getting into the outer left hip here as we twist through the center of the body. From here, we'll take our gaze over the right shoulder, and then eventually that left hand follows, gently coming onto our bellies, onto our forearms, with that left leg bent at a 90-degree angle. You can stay upright here in sort of a half sphinx, half frog pose, or you can come down to lie on the stomach, resting the forehead on the top hand. When you're ready again to come out of this posture safely, you'll come onto the left hand, lifting that left elbow, thread the right arm underneath, come onto the right shoulder, and gently roll yourself onto your back. And from here, we'll take our Shavasana. If you'd like a little extra opening in the hips, I suggest that you take Supta Baddha Konasana for your Shavasana today, which I'm going to do, bringing the soles of the feet to touch, letting the knees splay out wide. And I like to make fists with my hands and just bring them right underneath the thighs for a little bit more support. Just a little extra hip opening here. If you'd prefer traditional Shavasana with the legs out long, please go there. And as you settle into our final rest pose here, just allow your breath to return to natural. Allow your back body to feel supported by the earth beneath you. And just let everything kind of melt and open up one final time. And all you need to do for your Shavasana is just be. That's all. If you're in your Supta Baddha Konasana here, we'll gently come out of our Shavasana by taking both knees in towards the armpits, grabbing onto the outer edges of the feet, and finding that whole, full happy baby, just rocking side to side. One final opening in the hips. And then from this happy baby, you'll bend the knees in towards the chest and slowly rock up to a seated position. Take as many rocks as you need. And when you arrive in that comfortable seat, we'll close out our practice with a cleansing breath together. Bringing the thumbs to heart center, taking a deep inhale and a long exhale. This time, bring your thumbs to your third eye center, the space in between the eyebrows. Keeping the thumbs and the pinkies touching, peel the 3 middle fingers away from each other, creating an opening to let the light in, remembering that there's always light to be let in. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out. Thank you all so much for practicing with me. Namaste. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment below, let me know how you liked class. Follow me on Instagram at Calm with Carlin, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.